Welcome to day 5 of Watches and Wonders. It's time to dive into the world of watchmaking. Good morning and welcome to Watches and Wonders 2023. I'm Olivia Kinghorst. Now every morning I'll be here at 9:30 a.m. to guide you through the day ahead. Here on the morning show, it's really the place where we have the chance to sit down with CEOs to get their thoughts for the year ahead, dive into new novelties, plus show you around the salon. Now we are nearing towards the end of the week. Remember, the action is not over because you can still pick up your tickets for the salon. It's open to the public starting tomorrow over the weekend. So grab your tickets if you still haven't done so. An exciting program ahead, and as we like to say, time is ticking. So with that, let's kick off the morning show. It was a jam-packed day yesterday, full of action, not only here inside the salon, but also in the streets of Geneva. An evening full of music, entertainment, food, as well as watches. We'll bring you all the highlights. Take a look.
Day 4 at Watches and Wonders Geneva, and this time we took the party in the city. Music, dancers, free food.
It's an amazing day, and free raclette by Rolex.
Quiet Geneva pumped up on a Thursday afternoon at Les Roubaix to include the local community in an event that beats to the rhythm of watch movements.
Usually I've been here for like 3 years, and usually it's really calm, but these days it's full of people.
Providing lots of jobs in local hospitality, transportation, and tourism.
It's fully booked. I was at the Four Seasons for lunch today, and they were completely packed.
All exhibiting boutiques opened their doors, offering special entertainment to anyone who wanted to take a look at the latest collections released this week.
A lot of Panerais, and I'm especially a radium lover.
Time even froze for the sake of Montblanc.
You want to try maybe?
This is my first time ever sculpting an ice. Wow. Did I break it?
Yeah, that's okay.
I don't want to ruin it though. All of the different entertainment activities in the city finally convened at Quai du Général Guisan to welcome DJ The Avener and end the night on a high note. And that's a wrap for Watches and Wonders in the city, but stay with us because there are still 3 days left for Watches and Wonders at the salon.
Well, there you have it, all the action from day 4. It's time now to take a view from the very top with our CEOs. Our first guest this morning is none other than Catherine Renier, CEO of Le Cout. Welcome back to the program. We spoke last year already. We just saw a video of all the action from yesterday evening, but I take it that you had a more quiet night digesting all the action already in the salon.
There is a lot of action already here, definitely, and very happy to be with you again this morning.
Thank you very much. So let's focus now on the Maison. Very busy recently. You've launched many initiatives to discover watchmaking. Why has that been a priority for you?
Well, you know, in the same spirit that the salon will be open this weekend, at Le Cout we believe in the need to educate, share the passion of watchmaking. To do so, we have opened classes to the public at the manufacturer or around the world, and this weekend at Watches and Wonders, classes that are really more workshops, experiential workshops, where you learn about the reverso, where you learn about sound making, or the stellar inspiration that have adorned watches for centuries. There is a lot to experience, whether you're a watch lover or you are just curious to discover our world.
I know there's incredibly a host of workshops that you're offering, and I want to look at one particular initiative. It's called In the Making, where you go behind the scenes and you take a look at the 108 different watchmaking crafts. That is a lot to digest. What can our audience see there?
Well, you're right. We have in our manufacture that is fully integrated over 180 crafts. And we went on a journey to share every single one of these crafts with the public through what we call internally the Netflix of watchmaking, meaning that each craft has given life to a short movie of a few minutes that goes in depth on the artisan work of art, the artisan handmade gesture, and it's really a discovery that everyone can enjoy to learn more about this ancestral know-how of watchmaking.
And this is incredibly important because, of course, a lot of the know-how, we just see the final product in the watches, and a lot of the know-how sometimes remains behind the curtains. So it's time to bring it into the spotlight.
Indeed, and you know, watches today are, in my opinion, like objects of art. So there is a lot to enjoy, a lot of emotion in the details, in the behind the scene, as you mentioned. There is a lot more than looking at a watch for the time, which you can do on your phone nowadays, but really watches are about appreciating the crafts, appreciating the gesture that have been put in the making of the timepieces.
Catherine, I'd love to get your input on how you are working together with artists and artisans to get a different perspective on watchmaking, those who might not be involved with watches every day.
Well, indeed, you know, like I just mentioned, we consider watches very much as object of art, and in that spirit, we've been associating with artists of many fields and around the world. Some of the latest partnership that we've done gave birth to an art piece inspired by the cosmos, like our perpetual calendars, but in a totally different shape. And this art piece was exhibited recently in Dubai, where we had a major salon for Jaeger-LeCoultre. So you see the partnership there to bring emotion, to open the doors as well to watchmaking, to a public that is curious to learn about our world.
Well, there's plenty to get through. And final question to you. Let's focus now on this very special Reverso 9031 cafe that you can see in New York to Tokyo. What can visitors experience there? Where should they head to next?
Well, the cafe indeed has traveled around the world, and the spirit of this cafe comes from Switzerland and the Vallée de Joux, where our manufacturer is based. It's about welcoming, it's about sitting together, enjoying the moment, and having pastries and cafe with ingredients from the Vallée de Joux, and definitely inspired as well by the beautiful Reverso design from the Art Deco period. So with the cafe, you dive in a little touch of what Jaeger-LeCoultre has to offer in terms of spirit and welcoming greetings to the public.
Well, Catherine, you've inspired me. Have to pick up a coffee right after this. Thank you so much.
Please come and visit.
Thank you so much for joining us, and have a wonderful rest of the day.
Thank you, and you too.
Thank you. Take care. Now, our second CEO guest of the day, I'd like to welcome Laurent Lecomte, Managing Director of Montblanc of their watch division. Well, this year, let's say it's a much bigger event than we saw last year. Describe to us the concept, inspiration for your booth that we're seeing this year.
So, bonjour. Bonjour. Welcome to Switzerland. Yes, this year we have a completely new concept for the booth. We have decided to combine the world of writing with the world of watches. When you enter the booth, you see a huge pendulum, and this pendulum sketches every day an artwork, a beautiful one, a unique one. So a full day is needed to create this artwork. And this artwork is inspired by an artist. So this is what it is made of this year, symbolizing the world of writing and the world of watches.
Well, that's incredibly beautiful. I think that some of us have already stopped by. If they haven't already, make sure to do so. So, as the head of Montblanc Watchmaking, how are you trying to establish icons? And walk us through how heritage and innovation play a role there.
So first of all, I think icon is a mix of tradition and passion, and it needs time. It requires time. Time is key. And we are very lucky because we have a manufacturer since 1858. And the last 165 years, this manufacturer has managed to create innovation. We have developed many patents. We have surprised the world with typical complications. So that's for the technical part. At the same time, we are creating passion, putting into our product something connected to the roots of Montblanc. Our roots are coming from 1913. The Montblanc emblem was created, depicting the Mont Blanc mountain with the 6 glaciers around. So we focus on the world of glacier to create our new timepieces. And that's something that will be for the years to come, 5, 10, 20 years. And last but not least, we pay attention to the details. Because when you have a watch, for example, how many people will start with a case back? You have a look at the dial. If you come to Montblanc, you will see that for all our novelties, you could start explaining the case back first. And we are using a specific technology, and this technology is an oxidation of the titanium case back, and we can create contour, we can create the depths, we can create the colors. And what you have here on the case back is forever.
And we're going to take a look at that very shortly in our timepiece talk, where our experts will dissect this piece for our audience. Now, you mentioned there was a lot of rioting when people entered the booth, and I feel that storytelling is a really key part of the Maison. For you, how do you craft a strong story?
So it's very simple. For me, storytelling should be authentic. You cannot come with a new product, with a new story, and change the story the year after. So by Montblanc, what we are creating clearly is something that will last. I'll just give you an example. Montblanc has 2 mark makers, Reinhold Messner and Nils Dij-Purja. Reinhold Messner was the first climber ever, who was able to climb the 14 highest peaks in the world with no oxygen, using no supplemental oxygen. He managed to do it between 1970 and 1986. We are working with Reinhold Messner together. We are developing our products this year and for the years to come. Nils Dij-Purja is the same. We developed pieces 2 years ago with Nils Dij-Purja. We are still working with him to develop the next icons of the brand. So that's a key element. And these mark makers are 100% in accordance with the roots of Montblanc. Montblanc is mountaineering. Reinhold Messner was the first ever real climber, and Nils Dij is the fastest one.
So you're taking those stories that really speak to our emotions and trying to attract your audience with that.
Emotion is key. So in life, there is nothing without emotion.
Okay, so speaking of emotion, of course, at the end, you're trying to focus on the customers. How is that focus going to increase in the coming years for you as a Maison?
I think in that case, the best answer would be sharing with you something I have on my wrist.
Okay, let's see if we can get the camera shot on there.
I know, but just to explain to you shortly, yeah, so we think the customer is at the center of everything we are developing now. Just give you an example. We have developed a new strap with such a quick interchangeability. You can adjust the strap extremely easily, and you have the taper here. 3 characteristics. And when the customers come to the booth, and when they put, for example, the watch on the wrist, they say, oh, it's loose, and you can adapt so easily, for example. So these small things make it completely different. So the customer is key, and we try to make everything simple. And I always say, you know, I have a small daughter, she's 5 years old. And when I'm at home and when she has a look at my product and she says, Papa, c'est très joli, c'est magnifique, I know that it's perfect for the end customers as well.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing that wonderful story with us, and we'll make sure to take a look at the booth very shortly. Thank you so much for joining the show.
Thank you.
Final guest of the day is Jean-Marc Panerai, CEO of Panerai. So I was speaking to you earlier, and I'm taking it that you really enjoyed yourself in the city last night.
Yes, buongiorno, first of all, as we are used to say at Panerai. Yes, I got the chance yesterday to be in the streets of Geneva when I was going to Panerai store, and it was full of people. We had the impression we were in the summertime because we were very lucky to have a great weather yesterday, and it was full of people. It was nice to see Geneva in such a state.
Probably a different kind of Geneva that you're used to.
Yeah, well, absolutely, and it was funny because, as again, the weather was great. People were here, many people speaking English, many Asians, many Americans who were here. So you had a great crowd enjoying, thanks to watches, the beauty to be outside.
Well, let's take a look now at watches itself. And I think the key word for you here is heritage. What does this mean for a company like Panerai, which has such strong Florentine roots?
So at Panerai, we are special because we are Italians, so which in the world of Swiss watchmaking is something which is a very strong differentiating factor. So we always have associated this world of military origins because we were equipping historically the Italian Navy, as we continue to do it today. And for us, it's a very strong platform of inspiration for all our designers who are in Milan to continue to perpetuate this spirit of watches for tough ambassadors like we are used to have, especially in America. And the historical background we have is, for us, one of the key assets in developing our brand.
I know that that is incredibly important to you, but you've got on one hand Swiss watchmaking, on the other side Italian identity. So how do you marry and bring those two together so that it's harmonious?
Well, that's the secret cocktail at Panerai that we have.
Can you share a little bit of your secrets?
So we have about 80 people in Milan who are working on all the creative side of the brand. So we have the digital, we have the product, we have the marketing, we have all the divisions taking care about the brand creativity. And then we have in Neuchâtel our manufacture, where we have also what we call our Laboratorio di Idee, which is the one which are translating the ideas of the creative team in Milan. And that is the symbiosis of these two teams, which makes the unicity of Panerai in the world of watchmaking.
As part of this year's Watches and Wonders, actually at the keynote, the audience got a bit of a taste of the history of Panerai. In your view, how would you define or single out the best moments in the timeline?
Well, when we started to think about these keynotes, like last year, which was about sustainability, we had a panel of 3 people who have been part of the history of the brand with key implementation and still are active today. So we had Mario Pacci, who is one of the persons who was very instrumental in the moments of Panerai when it was about creating the watches. We had Giampiero Bodino, who is the creative director of Richemont, who has been extremely active from the very beginning of Panerai in Richemont. And we had Paddy Conway, who is an American based in Chicago, who is one of the founding members of the Panerai community. All these people who love Panerai, who have created this great group of about 30,000 people in the world, and who are supporting Panerai, who love our brand. They are not directly associated to Panerai in our organization, but they are all over the world in different countries, meeting together and sharing their envy about Panerai.
So they really embrace the Panerai spirit. Now, how does Panerai plan to adapt its strategy for the future, all whilst maintaining your legacy? So the history of our brand is one of the key pillars that we're having. We have 4 lines of products that we are enriching on a very regular basis. This year is about our history because it's the Radio Mir line, one of our 4 lines of products. And in the future, all what is about sustainability is something which has been very important since 5 years. We talked about it last year already.
We spoke about last year, exactly here last year. And we continue to do so. We still have new products based on this principle. We have announced here that we will be partner of the Ocean Day on June 8th, which is not only about sponsoring, it's also about embarking the 800 people at Panerai to be able to collect 10 tons of plastic in the streets of the world where we operate our business. And that is on June 8th, where I invite all of you to do the same like the team of Panerai.
Well, Jean-Marc Pontret, thank you so much for joining our studio today. Maybe that could be a conversation starter for our event next year. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Time for a look now behind the scenes at Watches and Wonders, this time from a place that not everyone may have ventured into.
Olivia, the innovation that we've seen at the lab is simply mind-blowing. But what's different this year is that for the very first time, we are seeing startups, tech startups coming in Watches and Wonders. And most of them, or some of them, are created by people even in their 20s, just out of the university. Just like time designers here. The 2 Pierres in here both have the same name. They're in their 20s, and they're trying to develop a display in the watch out of fluids, out of liquid. So incredible, congratulations. Keep at it. Now, continuing with sustainable solutions for the materials here, because that's why the watch brands and companies are at right now. One of them are sustainable sourcing. And here in Van Cleef and Arpels, we see how they are color coding their metals using lead-free enamel. Okay, and then we have here Ori, and Ori is using 3D printed cases by carbon fiber composite, and they are actually using this for their latest altimeter that was launched last Monday. Beautiful, by the way. Thank you. Now going with augmented reality, this is really fun right here. IWC has created a 3D world for everyone who was not able to come and participate at Watches and Wonders. So far is only accessible by the club members of IWC, and just look at it. It's similar to the metaverse, and here you just put these glasses and you're able to immerse into the world of Watches and Wonders. Now, following with the augmented reality version here, we have the Rebellion timepieces, and just by using your hand, it is like this, more or less. You can have an inside look of these kinds of watches. You can have an inside look of all the components in here, and it is just mind-blowing. I absolutely love it. Back there, we have also Snapchat, who are doing a similar thing with augmented reality. Now, what they're doing is that you can use your mobile phones to actually test out the latest watches and decide whether or not they fit well or not. We have there Ariani as well, and they are developing digital solutions to retain their customers using NFTs and digital passports to get to know more about the history of your watch. Now, of course, we do have more tech companies over here and watch brands working on the tracing, tracking, and authentication of the watches, okay, to identifying simpler ways. Now, we have inquiries again that we've seen already this week, but what's very interesting is this company right here. It's called DNA Watch 360 Quantum Brand Protection, or like I like to call it, the invisible tattoo to authenticate watches. So basically using the UV light into the case, into the glass of the watch. Yeah, you can have a, well, you can scan a QR code. You'll be able to see a QR code that you can scan and be able to see the entire history of the watch, even the previous owners. So now that you cannot see it normally, but you use the UV light and then suddenly it appears and you know the entire history of the watch. Spectacular, congratulations, love it. Again, this is just a mere sneak peek of what you can see in here. There is many more things that I mean, you just have to come here. Do not waste more time because our time right now is now up. I am back to you, Olivia.
Well, there you heard it. Ariane says you have to go there in person to check it out. The lab is, of course, upstairs in the salon that you can be found there. And also, we're here upstairs in the salon, so if you're swinging by, make sure to stop by the studio as well. Coming up, we have Timepiece Talk. Stay with us. Well, you know what time it is? It's time for Timepiece Talk. Thank you so much for joining us, our panel of experts, our trio, Carson Chan, Joanna Langer, Gianfranco Ritchell. Thank you so much for always showing up nice and early in the morning to show us and walk us through these watches. Now, Carson, you've got a smile on your face, and I think you're ready to kickstart the first watch, which is from Alpina Watches. Walk us through it.
Absolutely, Olivia. Good morning. What I have in my hand is the Alpina watch, the Alpina Extreme Automatic. The watch is in 41 millimeter. What is interesting is that the watch, you will see on the dial, on the minute hand, and on the seconds hand, and also on the screw of the dial, all carries this triangle motif. This is drawing attention to what the brand loves, the snow-capped mountain. So you can see the watch obviously is made for mountaineering, for climbing, for extreme sports. Legibility is very important. So you can see the hands has a very good contrast. So you could read the time right away. The case is in very robust stainless steel, 41, as I said, 41 millimeter. And you can see the back of the case. Let me see if I can show it. You have an automatic movement, display case back. You may have seen the watch. You think, maybe I've seen the watch before. Because last year when they came out, it was in a strap, a rubber strap. This year is the first time they're offering this in a stainless steel bracelet. Integrated bracelet, automatic movement, extreme sport, water resistant to 20 ATM, all in an extremely good value. This is a very interesting watch. Take a look.
For extreme sports, maybe it's up Gianfranco's alley.
Afterward, right?
He's more into the water. Now, the next one is from Chariot. Can you take us to Saint-Tropez, Carson?
Yes, absolutely. What we're looking at is the Chariot Saint-Tropez Navigator Surf watch. Now, the brand always uses the Torsay steel cable as their DNA. So you can see the bracelet has this cable look to it. It's very, very interesting. Now, the watch dial, you can see this is in mother of pearl with diamond decorated. On the bezel, you have one diamond, and also because it is built like a diver's watch, you have a unidirectional winding bezel, turning bezel. So why is it unidirectional? Because you don't want to accidentally move the bezel and miss your calculation for oxygen consumption. The watch is very, very interesting as well. If we look at the back, you can see it has a display case back with the 360-degree circular winding rotor. The watch also has a double deployant buckle for safety. You can wear this and feel safe even if you're doing sports. And I want to come back to the dial just to look at the seconds hand. You have a lightning bolt. The concept, the idea came from the CEO herself, from her own personal surfboard. This is a very interesting piece.
That's incredible, Carson. So the third piece you have up there to present, walk us through it. It's from Grönefeld and it's a limited edition, I believe only 25 pieces.
Absolutely. So I'm going to start right off. There's only 25. So if you like this watch, run, don't walk. This watch is made in limited edition, and also the case material is done in tantalum. Now, we're looking at a chronograph by Grönefeld. This is the 1941 chronograph. What is interesting is that it is like a chronograph, but if observe, this is just like a classical chronograph. Start, stop, reset. But if you start, you can see the chrono hand is running. If we stop and take a look now, when we do the reset, the hand moves back softly. The brand is using the governor, which is a concept or a technique from the minute repeater. So it is reinventing an existing function. But if you look at the back, this is an absolute beauty. The watch, the polishing, the finishing touch of this watch is just simply amazing. 53 hours power reserve, and the watch is in 40 millimeter.
And the camera is picking up well with all those finer details. Now, Gianfranco, moving on to you. It's from Jaeger-LeCoultre, the next piece, and it's the Reverso Tribute Chronograph. Where do we go from here?
Well, you pronounce it
Thank you very much.
better and better in French. Excellent. In fact, this new Reverso pays tribute to the Reverso's roots, celebrating it this year with the quintessential complication, sporty complication, the chronograph. And even if at the beginning you see a beautiful, elegant dial alluding this elegance, in a glimpse you can flip the case and it turns in a fantastic chronograph made with a shaped movement, a new caliber, 860, featuring a chronograph counter And I love it to see the column wheel on the lower side, on the left side, and particularly this sector minute counter. I love how they integrate it in the dial. And beyond, you can also see how everything is well displayed from the mechanic and the hands and the dial. And if you focus on the sizes, this is a specific size, as the sides are exactly corresponding to this golden ratio of 1.618. It means 49.4 millimeter by 29.9 millimeter case. And as a true sporty watch inspired by polo, the strap is made by Casa Fagliano.
So moving on to the next piece from Montblanc, I think here we have to stick with Mount Everest, the theme here. We can't talk about this watch without talking about mountaineering. Is that true?
Oh yes, not only Mount Everest. You understood it exactly. The 1858 Montblanc Geosphere chronograph this year is presented with a 44 millimeter titanium case, completely devoid of oxygen. Yeah, you understood it exactly. There is no oxygen inside to prevent against oxidation or other influencing phenomena like fogging or what else. So to allow this movement to run perfectly in every situation, even in the most extreme. And if you have a closer look, you will see on the upper side we have the northern hemisphere of the Earth, and on the lower side, the southern hemisphere of the globe, surrounded by a world timer indication. And if you have a closer look, I don't know if you are not shaking too much for that, Carlson, but have a closer look at these little dots marking the different mountains higher than 8,000 meters in the world. And yeah, around it we have this bidirectional fluted bezel, which indicates us the different, how we call them, the cardinal points, yes. And finally, the case back. Let's please turn the case, and you will admire these laser engraved peaks. It showcases the different profiles with the right altitude of everyone, and even 3 prayer flags, which brings you perhaps fortune and lucky to have one of these 290 limited editions.
Incredible how much detail you can fit on the back there.
Absolutely.
So we have time for the next piece, which is from Panerai. Let's start here. How can we tell the date with this particular piece?
Oh, let me start from the beginning. First of all, it's not just a stainless steel white gold, but it's a platinum tech case, something precious, in a 45 millimeter diameter case, and only 24 pieces are made of it. So let's admire also the burgundy dial, which is perhaps one of the trends which goes in this direction this year. And this sandwich dial, so typical for Panerai, having these not Roman, but Arabic numerals and indexes so clearly dispatched. But interesting is the mechanism. You're absolutely right. We have here the first annual calendar made in Panerai, and they made it in an original way, as we have the weekday, the date, and the month on a single line between the center of the watch and 3 o'clock. One line. So if I'm not wrong, today should be venerdì 31 marzo. You understood it? It's written in Italian, and that makes it really so original. So behind all that, we also should talk about the experience behind the watch, because the 24 lucky owner, they will participate to a specific experience lasting few days, mixing culture, historical sites, and other experiences in Roma. So it's not only the watch, but everything which is around the watch, which makes it so interesting.
Thank you so much, Gianfranco. And I'm picking up on a lot of activity around us. I think everyone is arriving now for the morning. Joanna, let's move on to you now. The next piece is from Speak Marine. It's called Ripple's Blue Jeans. And I would like to know personally why it has that name.
Yes, Olivia, we have this Ripple's Blue Jeans from Speak Marin. And as you can see, it's housed in this 40.3 millimeter stainless steel case. And the blue jeans, of course, is referring to the dial of the watch. You can see this very beautiful rippled effect, with 2 different shades of blue, so a lighter blue, and then the darker blue, which is showing the small seconds. This is at the indication between the 1 and 2 hour. And this actually indicates that the movement is an in-house movement from the Le Cercle des Horlogers. If we take a look at the architecture, as Carson is showing us now, of the case, this is a nod to the British roots of the company because it's showing the financial district architecture in London, actually. So this is kind of following the trend that we have been seeing with the sport chic, integrated stainless steel bracelets, and these beautiful heart-shaped hour hand also on the dial, an extremely beautiful, chic sport watch that you can also wear every day with a business suit as well.
Speaking of being inspired by architecture, I think we can also mention that for the last piece, it's from Trilobe. Where does it take inspiration from?
Yeah, so this is a really mesmerizing piece, Une folle journée diamant, a crazy diamond day. And this is actually inspired from the ceiling of the Opera House in Paris. So we have no hands on the dial. We have 3 rings that are indicating how time flows, circling the hours, minutes, and seconds all in rings. And of course, I'm sure we cannot fail to miss that we have 150 trapeze-shaped diamonds on these 3 rings to show us the time. Now, as you can imagine, adding a lot of weight with the diamonds, this has its connotations within a watch and within a movement. So the rings had to be completely newly created for the diamonds, and they are made in an aluminium silicon magnesium alloy, which is very light, but of course very robust to be able to secure those diamonds. We don't want to lose any of them. And if we take a look at a very nice detail, actually the hour on the larger ring is hand-painted with a very special lacquer on the diamond. You can imagine how challenging that is to do. So to tell the time, if we really want to tell the time, we can do it with the small red triangle that's on the inner hour ring. So, but I think we're mesmerized by this dial when we're looking at it. We're not worried about the constraints of time.
Well, thank you so much to our watchmaking experts for walking us through these pieces, all incredibly different. I know you've had your chance to practice and get up and close with the watches, but thank you so much. And we have more watches coming up for you, so stay with us for tomorrow. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, there you have it. That's your morning wrap-up of day 5 of Watches and Wonders. Still plenty of action because at 4:30 we have 4:30 p.m. We have the late show that's coming up with Belle Donati. She's going to be diving into once more the watch trends of the watch fair. You can see out here already there's plenty of activity. The watch fair isn't over yet because starting tomorrow it's going to be open to the public over the weekend. So make sure to grab your tickets. Have a wonderful rest of the day at Watches and Wonders. I'm Olivia Kinghorst, and we'll see you nice and early tomorrow morning. Goodbye.